Welcome to Eventful Endeavors, secrets to crafting the perfect celebration. If you're planning an event and looking for useful tips from industry experts, you're in the right place. So get ready to take some notes and we'll dive right in. This is Eventful Endeavors.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Eventful Endeavors. Today we're going back to Los Angeles. We're going to the California region because we're going to be talking about wedding planning. Today we have Brenda with Love, who is with Love Bee Weddings, who is a wedding planner out in Los Angeles, Orange County area over here. So thank you so much for being here today, Brenda. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's fun.
So yeah, I always start off the same exact way. I like to just know how people got into this industry. So kind of tell me your story.
So I started back in 2012, 13, right around there. And actually, my sister was the one that volunteered me as tribute for one of her friends' wedding. And I had no idea what I was doing, but it kind of just came naturally to me. And from that wedding, I was like, oh, I love this. I was connecting with all sorts of people. It felt really natural to me. I really liked to see the whole production from the back end versus as a guest, you're seeing everything as a whole already, right? So
Sure.
I really fell in love with the production side. And it was amazing to me to see what certain things put together can really change a specific look or a specific room or those kinds of transitions are the ones that I just was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It's great. So it happened about, almost 11 years ago now. And I got certified as a certified wedding and event consultant right after. And ever since then, it's been great. I mean, we've hit a couple of hurdles, but it's been great so far.
That's interesting. I want to ask you about that because I don't think it's come up yet. So you said you got certified in event consulting. What is that? Because I've never heard. I don't know anything about. I'm not a wedding planner. I don't know anything about that. Is there a specific certification? What is that?
You know what? It's not something that's necessary, right? But it's definitely something that helps you really learn the ropes of the back end side, the logistics side, the business side, how to really cater to specific budgets, designs, and then you just really meet a different types of people and whoever wants to be in the industry. So it's a lot of networking in that kind of environment also because they're in the same industry as you. So honestly, it's not something that you really need to do, but if you want to excel or if you want to learn a little bit more on the back end side, it's something that is pretty helpful. I've learned a lot from it. I still utilize some of the things that we've learned in class. I still keep in touch with some of the people that I've met through there. So it's a really great way to really get started if you just don't know where to go.
That's amazing. I'm glad that exists because I can just say just from dealing with weddings on my end, weddings are so complicated. There's so much going on.
There's a lot.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
When you really break it down to all of the things that need to be involved in that day. So 12 years later, so where are we now? How many weddings do you do a year? Do you like to cap it? Are you doing just full planning? Are you doing partial planning? Where are you kind of at now in your business?
Yeah. So we started off full planning and then we started to kind of step back a little bit from full planning because we're noticing that a lot of couples, mainly brides, they like to take the lead and really do their own planning, which is great. I think it's a great way for the brides and grooms to really make their own decisions and kind of guide their own way. And then we're really there to just hold their hands. So we stepped back from full planning. We do cater to partial planning and wedding management, which is also just the coordination side. So we really try to do 2 weddings a month. One is great too, right? It is very labor intensive, but we try to do 2 to 3 weddings a month. I try to cap it a little bit just so that I can take a break. My team can take a break also. So we're not trying to book as many as possible. It's more of that, each month we're trying to cap at 2 to 3. And then we take, a couple breaks here and there.
Right. And that's good because you want to make sure you devote the time to everybody and not overdo it. Because I've met people who just book so much and then they're like, I'm not getting back to emails, I'm not responding, and then it gets a little tough. So, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's interesting though because I have talked to other wedding planners and some people in the industry about the like full planning versus partial, and I have noticed recently a lot of people um, like the control of their wedding kind of thing. I mean, they still don't realize how much goes into it. They forget about things that are like, oh, I need chairs, whatever it might be. But I wonder why that is. Do you think it's because people think that if you're doing full planning that you don't get any vision in it, or like, because I mean, we both know that if you're doing full planning, like you can still be creative and just have somebody there to hold your hand and help you get the vendors and deal with all that. But I wonder why that like misconception kind of came into place. Does that make sense?
You know, everyone kind of has like the idea of what full planning and what partial planning is, right? I think with
Yeah,
full planning, you definitely have control over every single aspect of the planning process. Partial planning for us, and this is not to say that it's the same for all planners out there who offer partial planning.
sure.
For partial planning for us, it's we're involved, but the couple are also involved. Whereas before, when we catered to full planning, they weren't as involved because they were just too busy or they just had no idea
Sure.
what to do. So we did a lot of the hand holding with full planning, whereas now with partial planning, we're like doing minimal hand holding, and
Yeah.
it's more of a direction. It's more of a guidance. It's more of like consultations and giving them the right vendors to really like consider. And then we do all the legwork with the contracts and the signing and the designs. So it's more of, how much time do couples really have to work on planning their own wedding and what their visions are and if they're able to do it or not, versus like they have the idea, but they just need extra guidance, they need extra consultation, and they would rather do the bigger part of the process, and we're just there to really guide them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So how far out from the wedding day do you usually come in? Like, is it like 3 months, 4 months, 6
Yeah,
months? I don't know.
it depends. So like sometimes we'll get partial planning clients that will reach out to us like 6 months away from their wedding. They're like, I can't do this anymore, like
Right. Help
I
me.
I'm yeah, they're like, we're just too busy. We didn't realize
Yeah.
how much time we had. So sometimes we'll get those clients, other times we'll get clients that are like a year in advance and they just want to do the partial planning because they would want to do the full the back end work themselves. And then for the wedding management side, I always offer it, 3 months before, 2 to 3 months before. That way we get at least, a head start and we're not scrambling for things at the very end, 1 month before. It used
Yeah.
to be 1 month. And then we started to realize that like everything was just getting kind of cramped, and the couples 1 month before their wedding date, that's probably like the most crucial time for them to focus on getting
Yeah.
ready, focus on their seating chart, their guest list. They're going to get a bunch of questions from, family, friends. Where is this going? What's happening here? What's your timeline? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So instead of doing the 1 month coordination, we've extended it to 2 to 3 months before their wedding date, just so that we can start early and they can just really focus on getting themselves ready in the 3 months. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a month out, you're like at that point you're only 3 weeks away from family coming into town. Like you're not going to be able to focus on all that stuff.
It's
So
chaotic. It's
yeah,
so chaotic. I always hear from our couples 1 month before, I'm over this. I don't, this is too much.
yeah,
I'm so done. I just want the wedding to
I'm
be done
done.
with already.
Help. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it.
So let me ask you this then. So what would be your number one piece of advice for newly engaged couples who are just starting their wedding planning journey?
Obviously, get a planner, right? Get a planner,
Yeah.
and it'll definitely save you time from doing all the research, from looking for your vendors, looking from your venue, not knowing what budget to look for, or to put out, right? So definitely find yourself a planner. And if you prefer to do the full planning yourself, perfect. But I would still obviously advise that you have a coordinator, and it's not a day of coordinator. This is an actual wedding manager where we come in as your point of contact in advance before your wedding day. And we cater to all the logistics in the back end, all the details that you're providing, all the setup items, and then we lead into the full day. So definitely find yourself a really experienced planner who has a list of preferred vendors that can help you save time on research. If you don't want to do that, then get yourself a wedding manager. The wedding
Right.
manager does the same thing. It's just that you're going to be the ones looking for your own vendors. We come in 3 months and we become the point of contact. And then from there, all you got to do is focus on yourself, your guests, your seating chart, all the final details. Focus on that. And then we'll take care of the rest for you guys. So definitely
Yeah.
get a planner. Yeah.
Yeah. I was very naive when I first got engaged. I wasn't really in the industry yet. And I was like, I don't need a wedding planner. I got this. I got a wedding planner. Learned very quickly. So I'm always an advocate. Like, no. Don't make my mistakes. Don't think you can do it.
Yeah. And you know, like a lot of vendors really appreciate planners too and coordinators because we focus on every single thing, person, detail, location, every single thing that goes into play on that one day. We're that one person. Whereas like other vendors, they're really focusing on their own items, right? Their own things. And we're here literally just managing everything below us. So
And I've noticed, like, you know, just in terms of the amount of weddings we do, like we're very good at what we do. Like we're good at weddings. We do it all the time. But every once in a while we'll get kind of like a little bit of feedback from a bride and groom, something didn't go right, and we'll look at it and we'll realize this wasn't really our fault. You didn't have a planner. Like every time we've gotten negative feedback about the day, they didn't have a planner. I was like, that's not a coincidence.
yeah.
It's not our fault. Like we're not wedding planners. Like I can't help you with that, you know? So it's like we really did just for fun. One day we like went through like any, not like bad review, but just like, you know, we do feedback cards at the end, like anything that was like every single one that had something to say, they didn't have a planner at their wedding, and I was like, that can't be a coincidence.
Yeah,
You know?
no, I mean, it's just so important to really have one, right? Like you just need that one person to be the point of contact for every single thing, right?
And I was going to say, because this is actually a good segue, because I think you mentioned you're also a realtor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody once told me on this podcast, one of the other wedding planners I talked to was like, they equated being a wedding planner to being a realtor, because they were essentially like, look, you know, they might be taking a commission, they might be doing this, but they're ultimately going to try to get you the best deals on things. They're ultimately going to save you money. They're going to make the process easier. They basically equated that. So I found it really funny that you're also a realtor and do wedding planning. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like, are you 50-50 with that? Or that sounds like two very, very big jobs to do at the same time.
So weddings is obviously my passion, right?
Sure.
It's something that I've been doing for a very, very long time. With real estate, I've had my license for a while also, but I didn't really practice it as much. I did get back into it. And it is more of time management that I usually will put. So I'm not putting, you know, a specific percentage to either one of them. It's more of like, what is priority, right? Who needs help the most and what timeline am I working with, right? Is the wedding coming up, or do I got to close on this escrow? Do I have to really write out this transaction, right? So both of them really coincide together. And the thing I like about doing both is that it's so similar to each other that it's different, obviously, right? But the process of it, you know, consulting with the clients, guiding them, and being that point of contact on both ends, that's the similarity of it. And that's what I've gotten used to, and really like being that person for clients, right? Whether it's with real estate or with my couples, the idea of it is to really be their point of contact. And then, you know, I'm the one that's reaching out to their vendors or the contractors or whatever it is, right? So they really do coincide together. It's different industries, of course, different hats. So it somehow really worked out the way I kind of like thought it would work out, if not maybe a little bit better. and it's been great so far. I haven't had any like issues with it. I haven't had any um problems with like time management. I think both have been really great so far. So
Yeah. Have you ever have you ever put one of your couples into a house?
yeah, yeah,
You have? That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I
Wow.
have, yeah. And then
That's really cool.
yeah, I actually started off as a golf instructor, and then
Wait a minute. I'm
I
learning
know,
so many
everyone's
things.
like,
We're just throwing things about. You were a golf instructor?
I
Well,
was a
good,
golf
because I
instructor
need
for a while.
lessons because I am not good. I am very bad. So
Well, I'll teach you. Don't worry.
yeah, I'm not good at golf. I try. I'm not good.
Yeah, so I started off as a golf instructor, and I've had
Wow.
couples come in to learn together as a couple.
Yeah.
And then we started talking. I told them, I was like, oh, I was a wedding planner. I'm a wedding planner. And then they became a client for a wedding. And then they were like, oh, they're in the next step of the phase of their
Life. Yeah.
relationship, right? Yeah. So it's wedding and then moving in together. And I was like, oh, well, I have my license. So I went from like one thing to another. And I was like,
They're like, if you had told me that our golf instructor was going to plan our wedding and then get us our first house, that would have been a very wild journey. I love that. That's so cool.
it wasn't even planned out that way. It
Yeah.
literally just happened. And, I always build this
Right.
rapport and relationship with my clients and couples. And I'm like, well, I'm an open book, obviously. And, I'm here to help you guys. So we just went from
Yeah.
one end to another. And I was like, cool. It actually was
Yeah.
great. It worked out.
Well, and that's the thing about what we do. I mean, we're working. I mean, you in two ways, but with weddings, it's like you're working on somebody's biggest day probably of their lives, like something they're going to remember. They're going, like me and my wife watch our wedding video every anniversary. It's like,
Oh,
so we
that's
see that.
cute.
Yeah, I know it's really sad. So we constantly are reliving that thing, and like to be a part of it is really cool. And like we're there kind of day of and a little bit prior, with conversations. But you're like with these people for months, so that's I mean, I still have brides and grooms I still communicate with, and I see at my shows, and they have my cell number, and we text every once in a while or message on
Yeah.
Instagram. It's cool. I guess
It's
is just
so
what I'm saying. It's
cool.
not really a question. It's just I think it's
No,
cool.
it's great that like clients, couples still like will reach out and like, they'll comment on things or
Yeah.
the best is obviously when they refer you, right?
Right.
After years of like, you working with them. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like the best. And it's so great to like come across very amazing clients who, you just created a bond with.
Yeah. And they're always the best ones. So yeah, there's a lot of, and even my wedding planner, I told you I wasn't going to have one, and then I got one, and we've worked with her on many other occasions. We've done dueling pianos at her wedding, her events she was on, and then she's worked like two of my friends' weddings, like that I was a guest at. So we see her all the time, and it was just like,
Yeah.
There's just a lot of good reasons to get a wedding
It's
planner.
great.
Basically what we're saying. So
It's great. Yeah, totally.
So let's change course real quick. So I want to talk about some fun stuff. And the first one I have a kind of a two-part. Part one is what's the most unique thing you've ever seen at a wedding? Something that was like really cool or really specific to this couple that was just fun, and you were like, I loved this idea.
I mean, first and foremost was you guys.
Oh, stop it.
No, I'm
Stop
not
it.
even joking. Like, honestly, so Rico and Vance. Rico is my friend from high school.
That's
and
right. I forgot you were Rico's friend.
Yes.
For the
yeah.
listeners who don't know, me and Brenda did a wedding, I guess, what was it, 2 months ago? 3 months ago?
No. It was in April, end of April.
Okay, so it wasn't that long ago.
No.
We just did a wedding for Rico and Vance, who were incredible. So much fun. But yeah, continue with the story. You were telling.
Rico and we go way back, and we also went to college together. And there was a moment in college where we went to this dueling piano bar in Long Beach. And
Sgt. Pepper's dueling
yes,
pianos?
I like forgot the name, but now that you said, I was like, yes, Sgt. Pepper's. Yes,
I've been in the scene for a while. I know Sgt. Pepper's. It's not there anymore, but yeah.
I know. I'm really sad it's not there, but it was great. And I remember going there with Rico and a couple of our friends, and I was like, this is so much fun. They were definitely like haggling the guests, and it was
Yeah.
so fun. And, we were young and we were drinking, and it was just a great party. So when Rico reached out to me, he was like, hey, we're gonna have a dueling piano. And I was like, this is so perfect for you. I cannot believe that you thought about this. Like,
Yeah.
this is just so great. And then I was even telling him leading up to it, I was like, I can't wait for your piano, guys. Like, I'm so excited to see how this is. And I've never had it before at a wedding, honestly. Like, I've
Yeah.
seen a lot. And I mean, I've seen anything from drag shows
Oh, that'd be
to
fun.
to magicians,
Yeah.
just all kinds of different entertainment, a cappella singers, right? So we've seen quite a bit, but never dueling piano. And when this opportunity came up because of Rico and Vance, I was like, this is great. This is so great. This is gonna be so fun. I'm gonna be singing. I'm gonna be dancing. I know I'm
Yeah.
still gonna be working, but this is
Sure.
so great. So honestly, you guys definitely have topped it of the things that I've seen so far. I loved it.
Well,
So good.
you're too kind. I appreciate it. That was a very fun wedding. I really enjoyed being there. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was fun.
And it ran very smoothly. So good job for you guys. I mean,
Thank you.
it was done very well, very easy. And we had a lot of fun at that one. So
Perfect.
I still have videos of like the end of the night. Everybody was just screaming and singing Four Non Blondes.
Yeah,
it was very fun.
Bit, I was like,
they wanted that last song, and I was like, that's perfect. I was like, you guys know this is a good last song.
And I went into you guys too. I was like, can we play one more? I know the rules.
I was
I was the one that asked you.
I was like, we can't top that. If we played one more, it wouldn't even be good. We wouldn't top it. It was too good.
Yeah, it was good. It was so fun. Loved it.
Yeah. Other part of that question, what's the like cringiest thing you've ever seen?
Ooh,
or what's the thing that, like, if you can't think of a specific thing, what's the thing that you've seen that is just like, please don't ever do this? Like, whether it be some speech gone wrong or something, that's gone wrong, something that you were just like, oh, this just got uncomfortable.
Oh,
we've all seen it. We've all seen things.
Seen it, yeah. I think one that might have come to mind is it's not cringing. It's just very time consuming. Is just however many toasts there are, right? Like,
yes,
we've come across a couple of weddings where there's like 5 toasts, 6 toasts. Ugh. And if it's cut to like a paragraph, totally fine. But like, people want to share their stories about the couple, and it's always nice, and it's always very reminiscing, and it's fun to hear, right? But sometimes it just goes so long that it extends the timeline that I'm like, okay, now I gotta like push things back, and I have to meet the photographer's timeline, the videographer's timeline, catering, all of their contracted times. So it's not cringing. Those aren't cringing for sure.
It can be.
It can be. Yeah, totally. But it just is like, when you have more than 2 toasts, that's when we kind of like start questioning, like, okay, how long are these toasts? How are these people related? Like, right? Like, if you're very close to them, okay, cool. But if you're just like, I don't know, a cousin's cousin or something, right? Like,
right?
No, right?
Not good.
Yeah, so it's not super cringing, but it's definitely like something that we are like, oh, that's too many people talking. No.
Have you ever had people that wanted to do like open toasts?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, whoever wants to speak next can speak. I'm like, I've had couples ask me to do that, and I, as the man with the microphone, I've refused. I've said to them on the wedding week, I said, we're not going to do that. I'm usually very like, if you want to do something, that's fine. But I tell them we're not going to do that. You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that.
Yes.
It's not going to go good. And what I usually tell them is I say, I want you to think about everybody you have there. Everybody. And I want you to picture every single one of those people getting up and saying something. And how many of those do you wish just would sit down? Yeah, we're not gonna do this.
That's great. That is
I'm like, it's
so
not
great.
gonna work. It's not gonna
No,
work.
that's
It'll
great.
go
Yeah.
long, and they're never gonna be good because they didn't prepare anything. It's a disaster.
Yeah, and they could be totally drunk
Oh
and
yeah,
just
they usually are.
sloppy. It's just not great. Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, you know what? Going back to the cringing thing is
Yeah.
just people getting really sloppy on the dance floor or even before reception, like just over drinking with open bar, right? That's just a little over the board. And
Yeah.
it's a wedding, right? Keep it as a wedding, not like a
Oh
birthday,
man.
right?
The
So,
wedding, I did a wedding. I think it was like 2 months before I did the one with you,
uh-huh.
and there was this girl on the dance floor, and she was like a +1. It was not even like a main
Oh,
person, which I don't do +1s at I didn't do +1s. But she was a +1. I don't know if everybody knew her. She was so drunk and she was drinking red wine. She had the red wine on the dance floor, and she's swaying and dancing, and the wine is sloshing out of the cup, hitting everybody, including the bride in her white
no.
dress. And I was watching this from the piano, just mortified. I was like, oh no, no. And the bride didn't notice right away. So I don't know when she noticed, but she was just still dancing. She was like facing the other direction. I was like, oh no, 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 no. Like, oh
Oh
no. So
no.
yeah.
That's terrible. See, it's
So
things like that.
don't get drunk.
Yeah,
I
no.
mean, give it a couple drinks. You can get a little buzzed. Don't be messy.
Yeah.
Know yourself.
Pop off that tipsy and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
don't get
Yeah.
smashed like that. It's just not classy
It's
at all.
it's not classy. Or if you really want to, save it for the after party. Go to a
Yes.
bar, do it there. You don't want to be in the classy stuff. Everybody's in their suits, and then you'll look like a mess. So
Yeah, that's not good. Not good at all.
okay. So last thing I want to kind of do before we wrap it up is I like to talk about just various trends that are going on right now. You've been in the industry for 12 years now doing weddings. So obviously from 2012, I mean, hell, from 2020 to 2024, things have changed.
Oh,
I imagine they've changed a lot since then. So are there any trends you can think of, like either things people are doing now that they didn't used to do, or things that they're not doing now that they used to do all the time?
One of the trends that I'm really noticing, and I actually really love this, is the single cake. Instead of a
yes.
2-tier, 3-tier cake,
Yeah.
it's just a single cake for just the couple,
Yes.
and everybody else gets something else, whether it's sheet cake, the dessert table, whatever it is. And
Donut
I
wall,
love
whatever,
this
yeah.
idea, this trend. Whoever started it, bravo.
Yeah.
But it is the cutest thing, and I love it because not only are you saving money, but it is so minimalistic and it is so intimate to just the couple themselves that it's really just their own thing. And, if I'm being honest, there's a couple things that I always advise my couples to really be aware of when you're tight on a budget or if you're kind of like going over budget. I always advise them like, hey, your cake does not need to feed the equal amount of your guest count because some of them are going to be leaving early and you're just going to have a bunch of cake left over that you paid for. And 99% of the time that gets tossed.
Yep.
Cut the cake size in half. Whoever has it has it. But the greatest thing about this is that the cake is just for the couple and the guests gets other things, dessert bar, ice cream, whatever it is that they decide to give for the guests. Pick and choose what you want. I love this idea. I love this trend. I'm really hoping this trend goes even further because it is just so perfect in so many different ways.
I have never eaten cake at a wedding that I've attended. I've never done it. I really haven't. I've just never done it. I'm not a big cake person in general, but I don't know, by that point I've eaten a big dinner, I'm drinking, I just don't want to shove a giant sweet cake in my mouth.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my thing. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have another, drink and relax,
Exactly. That's why I think this is a great, substitution for just the whole wedding cake itself, right? I understand the extravagance of the cake, but I'm also like, look, the small thing is the best idea for you guys, especially because it's just for you. You're going to take it home anyways, right? And just give everybody else something else that they want versus a wedding cake because they might not like it.
I mean, it's truly amazing. And I did want to tell you one thing. I don't like to talk too much about myself on this podcast because we're here for you. But at my wedding, speaking of that, we did that. But what we did was when we were in Chile, we were in South America. And
nice.
We went to this little cafe. It was like the day before we got engaged, so somewhere on that trip. And we had this pie. It was like a pie, and it was so good. I've never had anything like this in my life, and I'm not usually like a big sweets person, and I loved it so much. I went back the next day, got it again, and I was obsessed with it. And the woman, it was just like this small shop. It was like it was a port town on the coast. Nobody was there. And this woman made it, and I got her like card, and I was like, okay, she didn't have Instagram. It was not that kind of thing. So anyway, we had this in our mind, and my wife was like, well, what if we did that cake? So she called her, and she paid this woman for her recipe. And then we found a caker to design it for us. So we had that cake at our wedding just for us. We did not give it to anybody else. It was just for us. They ate, I don't know, we had popsicles. I don't know. But we had it, and it was it. They nailed it.
Wasn't it great? You didn't have to share that cake. It was just for you guys, and everybody else can get whatever they want, right? Isn't that great?
My brother came up to me, and he was like, oh, that looks good. Can I try a bite of that? I was like, you're going to have to pry this from my fingers because you're not getting any of this. I am eating it. And we actually, every anniversary, we call the same woman, and she makes us another cake. So we eat that.
Oh, that is so cute.
Yeah, real nerdy, but that's what we do. So
no, it's the best trend. I love it.
Yeah, I love it so much too, and I think that's great. Okay, so that's basically our time. Is there anything else you kind of want to mention about your business, about weddings, anything before we kind of wrap it all up?
Well, just that we are wedding planners and coordinators. We specialize in wedding management, which is the coordination side. We are all about being the, main point of contact for all of our couples. We service all of LA, OC, and we've gone up to the Bay Area, San Diego. We started doing some destination weddings. We started in Hawaii. Yeah. I know. I'm trying to go, all different locations. So, we definitely want to provide just the smoothest service for all of our couples. That's us.
I love it. Yeah. We'll make sure we link to all your social media, everything, so people know where to find you. And this has been great. So thank you so much for doing this. And I hope we get to work together again on a wedding because that was a lot of fun. And I'm sure we will. And I look forward to the next time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us. It was so great to see you in person live with your wife. It was great. And I know I was dancing and I was singing also. It was just perfect. Loved it so much. I definitely want to see you again in one of my other clients' couples' weddings. Right. I'm going to vouch for you guys 100%. I'm going to be like, you guys have to have these people. It's so good.
Likewise. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this. We'll talk soon. You have a great rest of your day. All right.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye, Brenda.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Eventful Endeavors, Secrets to Crafting the Perfect Celebration. We hope to have left you with some actionable ideas for your own event. If you like the show, please subscribe and definitely leave us a review. We read every comment. So until next time, happy planning and see you soon on Eventful Endeavors.